Welcome to the online portion of the orientation for parties held at the Menagerie, a venue for events in the BDSM, kink, leather, fetish community in Salt Lake. This orientation is the first step in attending your first play party or mosh at the Menagerie. You'll only have to take the quiz and attend the tour your first time at either a party or a mosh at the house. It also crosses over between events, so you won't have to go through all of that hullabaloo if you've gone to a Utah TNG party if you then want to attend a conventional party at the house.
We also ask that those who've gone a full year without attending events also review it before coming to an event. If you've gone several years between attending events, we may also ask that you get re-sponsored as well, but that's handled on a case-by-case basis. Make sure in advance of the day of the party to review this orientation, pass the quiz, and send in your RSVP through the Google form. Then you'll just have to show up half an hour before the party starts for a review and tour of the house. The topics of event etiquette, BDSM terminology, and ideology are quite extensive. This orientation can only cover so much information. We're just laying a foundation. We're big fans of people being as fully informed as possible before they begin anything. Hopefully by the end of this orientation, you'll have an idea of what to expect to see and experience at a play party. We'll also introduce some of the important rules at our parties. But make sure you read through the waiver you sign at the party, as it contains a full list of all the rules for our parties.
Just to make clear, these are also important topics. We just don't have the time to discuss them here. We suggest you search out educational resources, locally, online, and in printed material in order to more effectively assist your understanding. Especially the last one. It's super important.
If you haven't already noticed, we'll try and keep things lighthearted. A spoonful of ridiculous and perversion can definitely help the information go down way far down. Oh yeah, baby. So deep. Far down. All the way. That's it. Also, if you haven't noticed yet, this audio dialogue does not read through every bullet point word for word. Make sure you're both taking the time to listen to what I'm saying, as well as reading everything that appears on your screen. BDSM, kink, fetishism, leather, perversion, alternative sexuality, there's a shit ton of different classifications or labels for the sort of stuff you'll see and experience at a play party. For the most part, if it ain't the silent lights-off missionary position for procreation-only type of intercourse had by some, you'll come across it at some point at a party, and that's okay. We want people to revel in their debauchery and perversion. That's why we hold these events. Some people think that there's a one correct way to be kinky. That's not exactly how we roll. We feel that so long as fully informed adults are all enthusiastically agreeing to something that mutually fulfills them, no matter what it is, we're okay with it. For us, the difference isn't between true or false, authentic or not, so much as it's a difference between kink and abuse. BDSM can totally be all those things in the left column. Some of them are pretty similar. Some are quite dissimilar. Some have fairly disputed definitions depending on someone's perspective. But none of them are wrong. One may just not be your cup of tea. However, everything on the right-hand side can never be BDSM. Once something becomes abusive, it stops being kinky. For example, BDSM can totally be cathartic. You can have an emotional release during or because of some sort of kinky experience or activity. But BDSM cannot replace therapeutic interventions from qualified mental health professionals. No dom is so domly as to be able to manage your bipolar diagnosis for you, and no amount of beatings will cure your depression.
To this end, let's have a little chat. Let's take some time to clarify and better understand what is kinky, what is awesome and wonderful and fulfilling. We'll discuss some of the ways we can identify the difference between kink and abuse. Hopefully, this will help us have a safer and more pleasant experience in exploring our perversions and fetishes.
Once upon a time, some people came up with an initialism and an acronym as helpful mnemonic devices. These can be useful frameworks from which to construct a clearer understanding. For new people and beginners to kink, SSC is a useful guide within which to explore. RAC, that's a bit more for intermediate and experienced kinksters. It means that things may not go according to plan, but that the people involved have the knowledge and experience to navigate should the situation go awry. You can have shit tons of kinky fulfillment while staying safe, sane, and consensual. In this context, safe means that activities are taking place which will cause no permanent or long-lasting harm or damage. The flogging bruises will fade, the needle punctures will close over, and any emotional or psychological impact will fade without need of any expert intervention. Sane in this context means that everyone involved is of a state of mind where they can fully consent to the activities. No one is under the influence of recreational drugs or alcohol, as well as if someone has a properly prescribed drug intervention from a mental health professional, that person is following that regimen. Consent is a slightly more in-depth and layered topic, so we'll discuss it further on its own. We define consent as only a fully informed and enthusiastic fuck yes means yes. For consent to exist, it must be mutually expressed by everyone involved. Just because I want to shove a cactus up someone's ass doesn't mean I get to. I'll first have to have the consent of the owner of that ass before I start lubing up old Gladys. Consent must also be free from manipulation. Manipulation can be overt but also very subtle. Take the time to learn and research terms, such as gaslighting, in order to be as well informed as you can. Someone must either be fully informed, knowing exactly what is going to take place, or they must agree to their lack of information. Some people enjoy surprises and the excitement of not knowing what's next, but that desire must be clearly expressed and agreed to from the outset. Enthusiasm can look different for different people. Make sure you're checking in on body language and vocal tone. If all else fails, check in with someone about their level of enthusiasm. Consent must also be continuous, and it doesn't carry over. As soon as someone is done, they're done. You can stop at any time, and you can change your mind at any time.
If you can't wrap your head around a fully informed and enthusiastic yes means yes, then the bare minimum understand no. That's the absolute basement comprehension we expect. You want to find yourself on the outside looking in real quick? Fuck around with someone's no.
Consent is most easily understood and respected where clear communication is taking place. Some people are used to being passive or vague in their communication, for any variety of reasons. It's most helpful while at a party to be clear and direct with your communication. It's also fine if you're unsure. Just communicate that uncertainty clearly and from an active position. It's fine to tell someone, I don't know if I want to do that with you. When I am sure I want to do that with you, I'll find you and let you know. This way you're in control of how things progress. If you feel uncomfortable because of someone for any of these reasons, here's the simple, easy 2-step process. Step 1. Tell them to fuck off. Then step 2 is equally as important. Alert someone. Let your sponsor, an event organizer, trusted friend, message us through FetLife, whatever. Predatory pressure, disrespect, consent violating, judging, mocking, shaming is not welcome at our events. We need your help in making sure we create and maintain a culture free from such toxic behavior. Safe words are means of extending, altering, or ending consent other than the general social conventions. Normally, words like yes and no, or physical reactions such as walking away are how we communicate or revoke consent. We perverts like to engage in activities where these conventions may not be possible. Try saying no or walking away while you're strung up in the air with a ball gag in your mouth. Not that easy. Some people even view safe words as more intermediate to advanced levels of BDSM play. For a beginner, just stick to the easy, clear, common conventions of yes and no. Eventually, if you're interested, you can play around with safe words. You may even try things like consensual non-consent or ravishment play, where you say one thing but mean another. Some common approaches can literally be saying the word safe word. The stoplight system is also popular. Red means stop, yellow can mean slow down or come check in, and green can mean hit me harder you pansy. Any agreed upon word can work as a safe word so long as it can clearly be understood by everyone involved. In some situations, it's not even an actual word. Sometimes, due to noise, the general headspace someone's in, or their mouth being otherwise occupied, a person can't actually speak a spoken word. In these cases, Make sure you clarify before the means through which you will communicate your consent. You've made it! You're finally going to a play party. Maybe this will be your first play party ever. We look forward to meeting and welcoming you. Let's cover some specifics that will help you make the best first impression you can. 2 more important points to make sure you understand and follow while at a play party are respect and confidentiality. These will help the location remain as safe as possible for us to enjoy the debauchery that fulfills us. For many of us, we literally can't do this anywhere else. Some things require specialized equipment not everyone can afford. For voyeurs and exhibitionists, you don't often find a crowd in your bedroom. When it comes to confidentiality, please don't misunderstand. This isn't exactly Fight Club. Police and emergency personnel know where we live and what goes on here. This isn't so underground that we are trying to hide from the man. But in connection with people being responsible sponsors, we want to make sure that we keep the location and activities at parties from being known and accessible to those who won't respect what goes on here, or who would actively become disruptive to people being able to be as vulnerable as is needed for these experiences. So please, if you see something cool at a party, don't go sharing the details to your coworkers, friends, or others. Let that information remain personal to those who were involved with it. While you're here, don't comment or make judgments about someone. It's fine if you don't get off on it. You're not welcome to shame anyone for what gets them off so long as it's consensual between adults. A party is not the time to push an agenda or try and save others from a certain style of play. While at a party, you're going to see things like impact play, spankings, flogging, caning, body punching, or bondage, rope bondage and suspensions, mummification, industrial and medical restraints, handcuffs and leather cuffs. You might see some sensation play, wax, knives, electricity, fire, needles. There could be displays of power exchange, protocols and rituals, service submission, physical dominance, takedowns and wrestling. Also, you could see pet play, age play, boot blacking, and other leather lifestyle activities. Anything your pervy heart desires or can conceive is possible at a play party. If you can dream it, you can make it happen at a play party. You just have to develop your skills and find people with overlapping common kinky interests. One of the reasons people attend play parties is for voyeurism and exhibitionism. There's seating in most all play areas to accommodate this. All parties at the Menagerie are open-door parties, meaning that all areas are open for people to come and go and observe what's going on. But if you're going to watch, do so respectfully. Don't be too loud or get too close when observing. At some point, you're going to witness something at a play party which will upset you. That's okay. You're fine to have the feelings you have in that moment. However, this is not a situation for you to interrupt, chastise, shame, or judge what's going on. You're encouraged to step away when this happens. We recommend you find someone to discuss things with, outside of the situation to help you calm down. Here at the Menagerie, we have a saying: public masturbation requires advanced social skills. While voyeuring activities, you're welcome to masturbate, regardless of your gender or orientation. However, please be aware of a few things. 1. Once you begin masturbating, you're basically initiating a solo scene. So please keep it only to the play areas and don't fap in any of the socializing only areas. Also, make sure you take whatever steps needed to contain and clean up any fluids involved in your masturbation. And finally, make sure your scene doesn't interfere with any other scenes taking place. This interference can take subtle forms too. If you're vigorously flicking away at your bean and you've locked eyes with someone who's already in a scene, that may take them out of the experience they're having. Make sure as you're jacking that you're not too close, too loud, or too interactive with any of the scenes already taking place once you decide to act on that urge. While at the party, you'll see some people walking around in funny hats. Those are our dungeon monitors, or DMs. Most recurring play parties in the state require dungeon monitors. At the Menagerie, we have a series of silly and unique hats that they wear during their shifts. Other venues sometimes use armbands, specific t-shirts, safety vests, or any other eye-catching sort of garb. Dungeon monitors should be easy to find and should be present in the area they're assigned to supervise. Having DMs is not a flawless system of protection. You could still be assaulted while a DM is on duty. You're still an adult, and the responsibility for your own safety lies in your clear judgment and informed decisions. However, their presence dramatically decreases the likelihood that something could go wrong. Dungeon monitors raise the minimum expectation for safety at events. They're like lifeguards, and are useful resources whether on or off duty. They're experienced players who undergo specialized training in order to be certified as DMs. They're responsible for your safety, but not your cleanliness or preparedness. You should check in with the DM before any scene that may be disruptive due to the size, volume, or content. That way they can assist any spectators who may take issue or be caught off guard. A DM can also help keep a running list going for any popular equipment at a busy party. It would be nice if these were the only 2 rules we needed for our events. Alas, perhaps someday. For now, you can find the full list of rules on the back of the waiver you sign when you check in at a party. We will go over some of the rules now in more depth, as they're more common or serious issues. The rules remain consistent most of the time. Sometimes we have to update them, change the wording, or add a rule because someone did something stupid. Make sure even if you're not signing a waiver every month, that you're reading through the rules when you check in, so you're not accidentally missing an update. One important rule that comes up often is our rule around photography. Some areas of the country no longer allow cell phones at parties, or require a piece of painter's tape over the lens because of issues with photography at events. We don't want to go that far. Make sure a DM is involved anytime you take a photo. Please only take 1 or 2 photos and no video. It's just too much of a time waste and complication to accommodate. We keep this one very black and white. We are a dry party. We want to keep consent as clear and easy as possible. Arrive sober, remain sober. You will be ejected and likely unwelcome if you try and sneak any recreational substances while at one of our events. If for whatever reason we think you may be intoxicated, we may approach and question you. Luckily, for now, this hasn't been an issue for quite some time. We hope to keep it that way. Some of these are repeated during the tour of the house before a party. Some people have allergies or sensitivities to strong aromas. As well as with vigorous play taking place, sometimes in a crowded area, sometimes during warm seasons, a general musk can develop during the course of a party. To assist with both these issues, we ask you to find a happy medium between not too much perfume or cologne and adequately bathing before attending an event. While we do ask that you only wear street-appropriate apparel before entering the party, once inside, you're welcome to change into anything and everything you'd like. Be aware that you're likely to see quite literally any and every variety of outfits when attending a party. From footy pajamas, or full cow head-to-toe leather, to a Zentai suit, or any kind of military uniform. You're not required to ever wear anything specific. You sometimes may be encouraged to put together an ensemble based on a theme for the evening. Nudity is welcome at our events. Remaining clothed is also welcome. You are never under any obligation to undress or to cover yourself up. You're free to be as clothed or as naked as you'd like. The only stipulations we require are that if you choose to be naked on our non-play related furniture, that you have some sort of barrier like a towel or something between your bare parts and the fabric of our upholstery. As always, if you're ever shamed or pressured for any amount or lack of clothing, always follow the easy 2-step process. Respectful use of pronouns is a way to create a safe and inclusive environment. This is much like using a person's preferred name, such as a nickname, scene name, or their middle name instead of given name. This shows the person immense respect. It's as easy as including your pronouns when you introduce yourself to someone new. You simply need to say, "Hi, I use they pronouns. How should I refer to you?" Never force or pressure someone to share their pronouns. However, people could be invited or encouraged to do so. Making assumptions, even if correct, sends a potentially harmful message that people have to look a certain way to demonstrate gender. It can be offensive or even harassment. Just as making up a nickname for someone and calling them that nickname against their will. Actively choosing to ignore the pronouns someone has stated that they go by could imply the oppressive notion that intersex, transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people do not or should not exist. How you conduct yourself in the play areas of parties can leave a lasting impression on those around you. How you conduct yourself around those who are playing can make a substantial difference for their experiences. The only people who can involve themselves in a scene are the participants themselves and a DM. If you're ever concerned with what you see while someone plays, approach a DM. Don't take it upon yourself to intervene. You can also unintentionally interfere by being too close, too loud, or by making comments which could be overheard by the participants. Make sure you're as respectful to others during their play as you'd like for them to be while you're playing. Your behavior in play spaces also isn't limited to how you interact with those who are playing. Other small details, like making sure you don't occupy an area or piece of equipment for too long, or adequately cleaning up after yourself when your scene is done, is polite and respectful to others. Some equipment can be complicated. It's better to ask for help with how to use something, rather than damaging it or hurting yourself or others. If you don't have the proper equipment for a scene, especially safety items like gloves or a sharps container, no one is impressed by you cracking on anyway. Ask a friend for help, or adjust your scene accordingly. We at the Menagerie are supporters of our sex worker friends. Sex work should be decriminalized. However, at this time, we do not have access to the resources to take on the liability of allowing pay for play. So while we love and support sex workers, we cannot allow it to take place at the Menagerie. We are grateful to Utah TNG for creating and initiating the wristband system for their parties. We've adopted them for our Menagerie parties as well. It uses those disposable wristbands as a system to indicate how interested you are in being approached for play. These are available as you enter the party. You're never required to wear one. Within reason, you can even switch between colors should your intent change as the evening progresses. Sex is great. Sex is fun. For some people, sex and intercourse are synonymous with their kink pleasures. For others, they are two wholly separate experiences, and neither the twain shall ever meet. It's totally fine for someone to not enjoy kink without sex, as there's nothing wrong with someone who never involves intercourse. What isn't okay is judging one person or the other for their preferences. A sex-involving kinkster isn't inherently a creepy person, nor is a person a prude who doesn't fuck during their perversions. If you choose to involve any degree of sex or intercourse with your play, make sure you're open and honest about your sexual health and history when necessary. Ask people to disclose their status where applicable, if you're going to fuck them. Use whatever barriers may be necessary for safer sex enjoyment. Never, ever try and manipulate or extort more or less sexual involvement in a scene than the other person is comfortable with. Just find people who enjoy similar levels and have fun with them. How do you go about recognizing the dom, sub, mistress, slave, daddy, or boy of your dreams? Short answer, talk to them. I know, it might be unconventional and bizarre. Go up, Strike up a conversation with people, get to know them as humans, and you'll recognize whether a certain chemistry develops. You're at a play party. It's an easy segue to discuss whatever kink interest may be in common. If someone seems like a dominant type or submissive type, don't act off that assumption and try to jump into some sort of dynamic. Just because someone looks a certain way doesn't mean that's what their interests are. Big, strong, burly men may not be dominant and may prefer to submit. Tiny, femme-presenting people could be an evil, sadistic bitch rather than a submissive slut. Or that same femme person may be either, depending on the situation, preference, or partner. Non-emergency problems may sometimes seem like an emergency. Overreacting and losing your shit damn sure could turn it into one. We have first aid equipment on premises. We have trained and experienced first responders and first aid certified individuals at our events. If you're trained and there's an emergency, you're welcome to step in and use your knowledge to address the situation. If you have no such background, we ask that you leave the area should any emergency take place. A medical intervention is not a medical play scene to be observed. Act according to the seriousness of the situation. Minor, get a DM, event volunteer, or event organizer. Major, don't hesitate to call 911 first, then inform someone running the party second. Keep in mind though, if you choose to dial 911, they may ask for information you can't easily recall in an emergency situation, such as the address. We'll never tell someone not to call 911 in an emergency, but perhaps, in an emergency, a house member will be more effective at making that call. Emergency personnel, paramedics, police, firefighters may for any reason arrive at our front door. This is not inherently an emergency. They've been here before, fortunately not for several years. We ask that only house members answer the front door, so that we can make the decision whether or not to allow them to enter. If you ever hear a knock at the door or a doorbell, please fight the instinctual urge to answer it yourself, and find someone who lives at the menagerie. We ask that everyone keep their ID with them at the party in the low probability that the police are allowed in. We want to be as accommodating as possible so that they will leave and we can continue the party as planned.
We appreciate you taking the time to review this information with us. If this will be your first party here at the Menagerie, please complete the accompanying quiz and arrive a half an hour before the party for the house tour. We look forward to meeting you and hope you enjoy your debauchery with us.